But you can't have only that as a political base. I mean, even in elite theory, you need some base of power. You need some portion of the population behind you. And I mean, he started on 19%. I wonder how low that. I wonder if the election was held today, how many people would vote for Labour. I mean, there's a left-wing channel I watch called Novara Media. They don't like him. I mean, that's the left-wing base in the country. They don't like him. They don't like. So who's going to vote for him? And more importantly, do they even care? It feels like they're doing like a post-liberal, post-democratic government where it actually doesn't matter. We're just going to do it anyway. Anyway, go on.
No, I agree with that absolutely. I don't think I don't know any section of the British population or part of the political spectrum that likes him. I mean, working class people, ethnic minorities. I mean, the historic coalition of the Labour Party is not supportive of him. I don't know anybody who is. I don't think this is sustainable. And here perhaps I'm a little bit more optimistic than you are, in the sense that this is so unsustainable that even if you allow for the fact that he's the prime minister with a huge majority, which puts him always in a strong position, who's won an election, and he's a Labour prime minister as well, and the Labour Party, I don't have any situation. I cannot remember an occasion when the Labour Party ousted a leader, but we are looking at absolutely extraordinary times. I think something that is unsustainable in this way cannot be sustained. I understand that there's already talk within the Labour Party that he will not lead the party into the next election. And when people are starting to talk in that way, then sooner or later they will start to say, well, if he's not going to lead us into the next election, why do we need to have him now? The problem is, who would take over from him? You look at the people who are running the Labour Party now, and I cannot see any single one who I think would be more popular, more effective, or more successful than he was. I mean, West Streeting people are saying, well, really?
Genuinely, this is going to sound ridiculous to everybody listening to this, but I honestly think that if it's popularity they want, I honestly think the closest thing is Angela Rayner. As sorry as that sounds, I remember during the summer she went to Ibiza. Do you remember? She went disco dancing, disco nightclub, whatever. She was dancing, right? And I remember that the right, the political right, were trying to make hay with this, but it actually played quite well. Because she's working class, she's from a council estate, she was a teenage mother, and she's got kind of, she's kind of the John Prescott figure. I know he passed away recently. She is meant to be talk about political decline. We've gone from Jack Straw and Prescott to Rayner, but and she's popular within Rayner, I believe, is in the cabinet because the unions put her there. I think the deputy prime minister is selected by the party, not by the prime minister. I believe in Labour rules. So, I mean, whether that would be acceptable or not, I don't know. But Rayner, I can see, especially in the internet age, she's quite memeable. I could see her playing well, especially at a time where, I do think the future trajectory of the left, right now that woke is kind of going away, it's obviously dead, that whole thing. They're not going to be talking about trans and LGBT stuff anymore. I think the left are going to go much more back to a classical mode of talking about oligarchs and billionaires and the rich, and much more like that. Where else can they go? They have to go there, especially with Trump surrounding himself with all these uber wealthy people. And I can see, again, someone like Rayner, they could just go back to the old-fashioned rhetoric. I didn't go to a public school. I'm from the streets, and it would actually be true for once. Whether that happens, who knows? But if I was there, I mean, it's slim pickings. You look at the bench, and it's, she's the only one with any personality. But I mean, this has been a problem, though, Alexander. is that one of the reasons that the Blair plan is not working at all now is because of the degradation of talent from 1997 to now. If you look at that 1997 cabinet, there were heavyweights in there. There were people who could think. I mean, you say what you want about Gordon Brown. At least he was kind of, a history buff, and he really knew his political history. Like, I don't know anybody. We've got Rachel Reeves and Yvette. They're awful, all of them. The whole cabinet is awful.
Yeah. But this is actually a wider problem. It's an absolute problem of the Labour Party. I remember Blair's first cabinet, and you're absolutely right. I mean, he had all kinds of strong personalities, and I like many of them, but they were strong personalities, definitely. The Conservatives as well. I mean, they've historically had strong cabinets. All kinds of. You look at the Conservative Party today, again, you have the same problem. I mean, Kemi Badenoch is making no kind of impression against the most unpopular government that anybody can remember. Something you talked about degradation. It is a degradation throughout the party system. Labour, Conservative, Liberal, none of them really are at all convincing now. There's Reform. But Reform is based around Nigel Farage to a great extent and his personality. And I sometimes wonder whether Nigel Farage actually does want to become Prime Minister, in all honesty. He's somebody who's always been most comfortable in opposition, it seems to me, than actually aspiring to govern. And when a political party system has degraded to such a degree as it has in Britain, you do have to ask why. Now, this is a huge question which we're not going to be able to answer on this program, but it does require some discussion and analysis over the long term. I mean, why have we seen the parties decline to the extent that we have? Why cannot we in Britain produce a Donald Trump?
Yeah, I mean, the honest short answer, we're not going to have the long answer, but the honest short answer is, why would anybody with brains, talent, want to go into politics?
Yeah.
Why would you want? I mean, if anybody with a hint of that would just go to work for an investment bank, wouldn't they? Or they'd go into big tech or something. This is where the people with dynamism and drive are. And I mean, who knows? Maybe that's maybe the future of politics is just a kind of big tech oligarchy, but it hasn't taken over here yet. But I mean, certainly, I mean, you can say what you want about Elon Musk and all these people. At least they've got ideas. At least they've got vision. At least he wants to go to Mars. These guys can't even fix the Hammersmith Bridge, as I talked about last time.
No. It's absolutely true. Well, just quick question. I mean, where do you think we're going to go in terms of mood? I mean, are we going to see continued decline, or will there be a pushback? And could it be, because you're now going back to Shakespeare courses, will we perhaps, as has happened in other countries, in other places, will we retreat into our culture? Maybe. I mean, is that where we're going to, reorganize and consolidate and come pushing back? I've seen that happen. I saw that happen in Greece, in Russia, of course. It's also happened.
Well, one of the writers who interest me, I've written a few books, but I have a chapter on him in a book called Prophets of Doom. Is a historian called Arnold Toynbee, who talks about heroic withdrawal and return. And he says that every once in a while, countries, especially great powers, need to take a bit of a time out in history. And I would like to see Europe return to world history in some way. I think Europe has actually had a timeout since World War II overall. I remember the neocon Robert Kagan talked about Europe living in a postmodern paradise while America had to deal in the grubby real world of realpolitik and power, right? I mean, it was a justification for the Iraq War, but there was an extent to which that is true, that there's been a kind of Europeans haven't had to think about war or defense or whatnot. And Trump may now stop that. It seems like America is moving in the direction where it's withdrawing a little bit from, from Europe, and he's talking about his own borders and Canada and Mexico and so on, and they're thinking more and more about China. So it may be that Europe comes back onto the world stage. Britain, however, is different. Britain, despite the British Empire winding down, since World War II, has decided to go along with every single thing the Americans have wanted to do. There hasn't been a war that Britain has not been involved with, whether it was Afghanistan or Iraq, or they were there every step of the way. I would like to see, now this is not what's going to happen, it's just what I would like to see. I would like to see Britain take a bit of a time out. Okay, even if it means having a few years of experiencing being a bit of a backwater or something like that, or not being the center of action, where, yes, they could withdraw into their own culture and their own history, going all the way back to pre-Roman times. Shakespeare wrote King Lear set in 800 BC. So there's a long history to draw from, just to rediscover itself a little bit and have a period where it's just on the kind of edges for a while. And then it can kind of, at some point, come back. This is something that has happened in history. You mentioned Greece. I mean, my dad is from Iran. Iran have had times where they've taken time out and then they come back, I think this would be a fantastic thing for Britain to do. Trouble is, that would necessitate the country actually being, I hate to say this, mostly British. And that is the thing that, especially the last Tory government, have rapidly changed. If you keep on bringing in people from other countries with the best will in the world, they're not going to care about King Lear. They're not going to care about the 2,000 year history, because people tend to care about their own history. And anybody who's from a country with a rich history, like my dad from Iran, or you guys from Greece or whatever, will know that people care about their own stuff, not about some place that is foreign to them. And that is something that needs to be sorted out one way or the other. Whether it will be, I don't know. I mean, I'm a realist, which often means being a pessimist, sadly. So.
Pessimist is often a realist. Dr. Parvini, thank you very much. As I said, a masterly, can I just say, a masterly summation of the state of Britain today.
Cheers, chaps.
Dr. Parvini, real quick, do you have 5 minutes for some questions?
Sure,
quick?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah.
Your thoughts on the millionaires leaving London, leaving the UK?
Yeah, I mean, it's happened before, hasn't it? Beatles, Taxman, do you remember? So, yeah, this is something that happens, especially when you get old-fashioned style Labour coming in, which Starmer seems. I mean, I really don't know. I haven't got a handle on what the government's trying to do. I think they're caught between the Blairites and the Brownites yet again, Labour, and the Brownites, if you remember, are always much more. They're basically more up for doing old-fashioned socialist things. But of course, we've had a very neoliberal financialized economy. So that is, I mean, any step in that direction is going to lead to capital flight, and it's going to lead to, a decline in the standard of living that you're used to. Controversially, and this will upset many people, it may not be a bad thing. Right, it may not be a bad thing. I mean, we were talking about how a country rediscovers itself. A little bit of suffering, a little bit of decline in standards, could go a long way. I mean, imagine. I mean, I've been thinking of scenarios. Some of me and my friends talk sometimes. Imagine if Google pulled out of Dublin. Would it be that bad for the Irish people overall? Okay, they'd suffer like a loss of wealth, but for the long-term benefit of Ireland, it might be good. Would it be such a bad thing if all the McDonald's in the country closed down? Well, you may miss your Big Macs, but in the long run, and this is, I mean, when you're thinking civilizationally, as people like Putin have been doing, right? I mean, the Russians have experienced this. All the McDonald's closed down in Russia. They were reopened to something else, right? But and I mean, you guys mentioned Greece. I know Greece has gone through, a severe economic downturns in the past, but it can help a people rediscover themselves a little bit more. So whether this government doing it will do that, I don't know, but I'm not kind of so bothered by capital flight as I may have been a couple of years ago.